Thank you very much for coming here tonight. My name is Jared Hart. I have the honor and privilege of being the Chief of Police here in the city of Dearborn Heights. With me today, along with our Honorable Mayor, is Daniel Ishu, and Daniel is our crime analyst. And I'll share a little bit about some of the intense training that Daniel has been undergoing and some of the great work that he's done here, and great work that our investigative staff have done with some of the information that Daniel has shared. So our community COMPSTAT meetings is our opportunity to kind of share behind the scenes look of what's going on here at the police department. If there are any statistics or any information that you care to have that's not provided in here, please send me an email. I'll give you my card if you don't have it, and we'll see what we can do about creating those statistics for you. So Roger was supposed to be here. We have been looking at court statistics. UDAS is a cop term for unlawfully driving away an automobile. It's a stolen vehicle, right? Simply put. LFA is a larceny from an auto. Somebody broke into a car, whether it was locked or unlocked, whether they forced entry. Those are things that we look at. Drunk driving arrest and drug driving arrest, narcotics arrest, weapons offense, crashes, and calls for service. And then I have a couple of slides at the end that I would like to share with you. So these are the CIC statistics, are civil infraction conferences that our Corporation Counsel has handled here in our 20th District Court. I just wanted to kind of show some of the work that they're doing here through their morning court statistics. And I think maybe we move that up to the top next time, the legend, so people can see the number of defendants and folks that we're moving through the court systems. Why is this important to me? Because ultimately, we've made a commitment to our staff that we care about their wellness. And we want to track how long our midnight staff have to hang over or get called in during a time when they're supposed to be sleeping, right, during the day for court. So this is the start of the process of keeping track of our statistics in court so we can look at, it's kind of like being called at 2 o'clock in the morning, right? You're woken up out of sleep, or you have to go in for a meeting at 2 in the morning, and you're expected to regurgitate very important information about an arrest or a traffic stop or whatever it may be. But I know we have some people in the audience today that are in the medical profession. I can tell you the cutting edge information that I've been reading in Chiefs magazines and such is sleep is becoming more and more of a topic, right? And sleep deprivation, the amount of sleep that we get. And it's bad enough that we have to do shift work, but now we're interrupting that officer's sleep patterns to come into court. So those are some of the reasons why you see those statistics there. This is stolen vehicles here. Come over by the microphone. So 2024, unlawfully driving away of automobiles, stolen vehicles. I mean, there's some good news here, but to me, like I've always said, if you go out to your car, to go to work in the morning and your car's not there, that's a problem for me. Right? Because it means that my community members have been victimized, stolen vehicle, you can't get to work, you can't get your kids to school. So even though we're really excited about, these being down 38%, and I believe probably most people are aware of the news story that, Roger, I'm sorry, I didn't see you sneak in, so I covered your court slides for you. There was a massive raid a couple weeks ago, right? So that impacted communities from the east side to the west side of the state, and it impacted Dearborn Heights. So that's why we are a member of a multi-jurisdictional auto theft task force who are intimately involved in that case. So it's a sense of pride for us that we recognize this pattern. Daniel puts the patterns down. Our patrol officers are in the area. They're trying to push the bad guys and girls. They can push them to Redford, to Detroit, wherever. We care about our city, right? No offense to the other communities, but we want to catch them. But if we can't catch them, we want to push them out of here. I want them to drive into a neighborhood and say, there's cops everywhere, right? They're where we want to be, and then leave. So I contribute that stolen vehicle stat down 38% to our work with that task force and to our great work of our patrol operations division who are out there patrolling the streets. You may not see them, right? But they're there. And it might be when you're sleeping, they're driving around the neighborhoods because that's when most of our stolen vehicles are occurring, right? That's when the bad guys are out stealing cars in the middle of the night.
Are you seeing any pattern if they're stolen in the driveway, the street, or in a business?
Business is rare.
Okay.
Correct me if I'm wrong. It's predominantly either in a driveway or out in front of the home. Yep, for sure. And we get video, homeowner video, Ring camera. Daniel's also on a group where he could see Ring video, or he can ask for people to send in video as well when there's a crime pattern. But for me, I mean, this really bothers me, right? That 81 people have had their vehicles stolen in this community. So we're continuing to work on that, continuing our patterns. Last week we had some communication about this area up here in the northeast corner that was starting to get hit again. So we get our officers up there and they put an end to that crime trend. We haven't had anything up there in a few days. So, any questions on that at all? No?
What's the difference between today's viewing and the last 3 viewings of that same area? Because it looks like nothing's changing.
Like this here?
Yeah.
Yeah, we continue to see a decrease in it.
Okay.
Yeah. So if we...
So now you can compare side by side.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. So here's your 38% decrease. This would be 2023 on the left, 2024 on the right. You can see less dots. I'm not gonna jump up and down and say success, but I think anytime there's less crime, that's a good thing. We need to keep at it and keep after it. This is not just a Dearborn Heights problem. This is across the country. When I get on the International Association of Chiefs of Police website, or I'm reading articles from around the United States, stolen vehicles. And I believe AAA has even started up their HEAT program again, help eliminate auto theft, which kind of really went away several years ago, but it's kicked up again because of the amount of stolen vehicles. This is the larceny from auto. Again, down 47%. We have had 62 incidents. There's some trending that we're trying to do. We're trying to get into some predictive policing models, not to blame our youth, but a lot of the pictures that we get or the video we get when someone's going down the street yanking door handles, trying to find an open car to take something, they're young people, right? So we're trying to get into what's going on when school's not in session, right? Whether it's for the summer, whether it's on Christmas break or whatever break that they're on. Can we start trending some of that, figure out where our hot spots are, and then proactively deploy our police officers in that area ahead of time? So those are some of the things that Daniel's working on right now.
Does larceny from a vehicle include catalytic converters?
Yes. So there's accessories, and then there's things that are in the vehicle, like a laptop or whatever it may be. Yep. There's auto parts, and then there's things that are within the vehicle.
Do you have enough police officers to cover the area?
I'd like to have 150 police officers. I am going to get into staffing in a little bit. We are down. We're down like everyone else. I know that seems to be a hot topic for a lot of people that want to take shots at me or whatever. This is everywhere.
I have more a question when you come into staffing.
Okay. All right. We'll get there, I promise you. And I'm going to share with you the success that we're having with our cadet program. But please understand, this isn't just a Dearborn Heights program.
I work in a hospital, believe it or not, and the largest hospital in the nation. We have 76 hospitals in the United States. We are short of staff, especially the nursing.
Yeah.
That's why the admission, it's less people now to admit to the hospital.
Yeah. Yeah, I think since COVID, a lot of those things, for whatever reason, people are staying home more, they're working remotely, all kinds of issues that are popping up there.
Excuse me. As far as the theft, you got any idea how they get into the cars?
Sometimes the vehicles are open, sometimes the vehicles are locked and they're forcing entry. If they force entry, generally they're just smashing windows, right?
How about they open the cars by computers?
I'm sorry?
By laptop.
There are some of that exploitation that's being done with the technology that are in vehicles right now. So we do see that's generally when the vehicle's being stolen.
I've seen it 4 times.
Yeah.
Last 5-6 months ago in our area.
Yeah. A friend of mine was just traveling down in Texas and had a rental car, left his computer bag in the car while he went into the restaurant. He comes out, his window's smashed in his rental car, and everything he needed for work was in that bag. His planner, he's old school, he likes the planner, but his work computer was in there. And what he found out from his local police were that organized groups now are driving around with a device trying to see what Bluetooth is in vehicles, and once they identify what vehicle has something with a Bluetooth in it, they're smacking the window because they know something valuable's in there, right? So I guess something for all of us crime prevention wise, if you leave, first of all, please don't leave those things in your car, and certainly not visible, but turn those devices off so they're not sending that signal. So it's a great question. And again, I think this is what Vince was talking about. We could see that there's a decrease in activity from last year to this year. This is a drunk driving and drug driving arrests. Currently, they're up 328% compared to last year. I don't know how to feel about that. I'm happy that our police officers are out there arresting people and taking them off the street before we have a tragedy, right? Whether the impaired driver harms themselves or most likely someone else. But it's pretty scary, that we're up 328%.
That's pretty positive, though. That you're catching them. You got statistics that are high. That's pretty positive for the police
You're
department.
missing one up there.
Yeah. What's that?
You're missing one up there.
Missing one?
Yeah.
What are we missing?
Monday night, they were pulled over right in front of my house. I was like, what the heck's going on with all these flashing lights?
Yeah.
And I know I didn't call the rescue squad. So,
Yeah.
But there was another one.
Yeah. So
They
it's,
took them away.
yeah, and Vince makes a point here as far as this is through the 29th, the date. So I'm sure that there's probably even been a couple more, right,
Yeah.
based on the shift summary.
Now, do we know a statistic on people coming from other cities passing through? Are these residents of these?
So there has been previous statistics that we've shared as far as where are these people coming from, and it's not uncommon for police departments to keep a record of where these folks are drinking. So that's something that we're working on right now. But I want to say it was pretty blended between Taylor, Inkster, Detroit, and Dearborn Heights, if I remember that slide correctly. So yeah, it's something that, unfortunately, addiction, right? It doesn't discriminate where somebody lives. But we are a major pass-through city here as far as having major east-west roadways, telegraph, Michigan Avenue. Roger, were you going to say
I
something?
was just going to add, I know talking to Corey this morning, your arrests were up significantly last month. But we're, in terms of OUIDs, we're looking at marijuana drivers during the daytime, which is mostly, I think they can smoke marijuana or take the nitrous oxide and drive. That's usually it's during the daytime. OWI operate while intoxicated, usually at night. But we're looking to increase our arrests and cases to help cut down on the accidents and things that happen during the day.
And I'm sure I'm not the only person that drives down any road, right? And you could smell people in front of you. I was out for a walk a couple of weekends ago around a lake, and the people in front of me were smoking marijuana, walking down the street, just having a peaceful walk on a Sunday, trying to get some exercise, right? It's here, and even though people aren't supposed to do it, look at the gentleman who, with Judge Simpson in Washtenaw County yesterday, shows up for a driving while license suspended hearing,
I know the guy. He was dumbfounded.
and the guy's like, "What's the problem? I'm pulled over, right? I'm pulling over. I'm almost there." So I'd like to think that people know better than to. And let me just say this: I've been in training before where we've done drinking exercises in a controlled environment to see how much alcohol it takes to get somebody above the limit. When you eat an edible or you smoke marijuana, right? Any way you want to ingest that marijuana, it doesn't take that long. I mean, you have to work pretty hard and have quite a few drinks to be above the limit. But with marijuana, because of the THC levels, it's scary and it's almost immediate. So Yes, sir.
Now, I don't know pertaining to federal law and stuff like that, with testing, but have you looked into possible saliva testing within a period of 8 hours, ingested within an 8-hour period? So
Yeah.
I know that,
So we look to the state police to take the lead on that, and I know they're testing out various pieces of equipment. Being in this job for 33 years, we used to have to collect urine samples, then it was saliva, then it was blood. It kind of changes all the time. And, we'll wait for the state police to kind of perfect that technology before we bring it in and have the subject matter experts defend that technology. But, yeah, we're always looking. So, again, that's the drunk driving and drug driving. These are weapon arrests. They continue to be up. Right? We're taking guns off the street. Some of it might be, hey, I went and got my, purchase a pistol. I'm good. People think they can carry the gun around. Other times, it's a combination of a drunk driving. So we have a drunk driving arrest that I just saw a video of where a guy was on a motorcycle and he gets in the back seat and he takes a gun out of his coat and tries to hide it under the floorboard. So sometimes it's intoxicated people who are armed, right, with weapons. But we enforce that very vigorously here in the city, and our officers are doing a great job of finding those weapons and making those arrests and putting those folks into the system.
sorry for the amount of question, but I just, have you guys looked at possibly working with the ATF for possible straw purchasing that has been done in Dearborn Heights?
Yeah. So, Director Vanderplow obviously is, the former, he retired as a special agent in charge of the Detroit Field Division, the ATF, and we work with the ATF very closely. They were very integral in helping us work through a homicide right after Christmas earlier this year in the north end of the city, and they've done a great amount of work for us. So yeah, we work with them on those. Anything gun related, we're trying to get our property room up to speed on NIBIN, so taking a couple of test shots and then sending that information in. Did I say it right? NIBIN or NIBERS? NIBERS is the background. NIBIN is the ballistic. So we're as we start to bring staff in, bringing the level, right, of connectedness of what we have in our possession here in our property room, possibly related to other crimes. And in fact, we did do NIBIN on the shell casings on that homicide. ATF did, and they were able to connect those shell casings to other shootings in other communities. Five shootings. So we're trying to work as many of the resources as we can to provide the very best law enforcement services that we can here in the community. But those are a great questions. Daniel, I know I asked this before, and it's hard to data mine this, but do you know what the drugs are?
Yeah, we see a lot of marijuana arrests.
Meth?
Not meth, but crack. I've seen recently in the past couple of months. That's
Okay.
Kind of gone up.
So rock, crack, cocaine.
Ketamine?
No, I think crack, cocaine, and heroin slightly is at the lower end. So that's typically how from highest to lowest from what I've seen reading some of the reports recently.
Auto crashes. We continue to see our number one intersection at Ford and John Daly. We're dialing in on these to see if it's part of the 3 E's, right? The engineering, the education, and enforcement. The more we look at it, we just have drivers making bad decisions, right? Not paying attention to their surroundings, being the driver of a motor vehicle, not engaged in a text conversation with someone else. We see a lot of sideswipe sames on Ford Road where people are driving down the road and all of a sudden, in their far left lane, and they decide they want to pull into Target. So they just make the turn, and we're getting these sideswipe sames. We're trying to find the best way to have an impact on those. At the end of the day, it's the driver behind the wheel of the car, right, who has to make better decisions for us. It does not appear to be an engineering situation at all. Here's some of these calls for service that we're looking at now. We're going to start as of January 3rd, kicking out more and more data to our police officers so they can look at these trends. This is our top 10 calls for service here in Dearborn Heights. This is from the beginning of the year. So we get a lot of suspicious vehicle calls. Someone, I think I heard on the radio this morning, there's a car running, it's in the middle of the street, might have had some damage to it. We send police officers out to investigate what's going on. Suspicious persons complaint, assault and battery, civil matters. We get a fair amount of civil matters. Suspicious circumstances, somebody doesn't feel that something is right in a given situation and location within the city. Lots of animal complaints that our animal control handles. Traffic and parking complaints are up there as well, 348. So we're trying to work with our ordinance department to find out the best solution on how to tackle those parking complaints. Again, I think most people know I grew up next door in Taylor. We knew what our garbage day was on Monday, and our cars were off the street. We don't feel that it's an awareness problem. Lots of family troubles, disorderly conduct, welfare check seems to be a continual repeat run for us. It could be somebody that hasn't talked to an aunt. They live in California, their aunt lives here in Dearborn Heights, and they'll call and say, hey, I haven't talked to my aunt in 2 years. I just tried calling the last phone number I had. Could you have someone go check on her? So we're trying to work our way into, is this something on these welfare checks? Is this something that maybe a civilian corps can handle? Because the majority of them are very benign, right? There are some where we may go find someone in medical distress, but that's 619 runs just since January 1st for welfare check. Yeah, Vince?
You don't have domestic violence broken down, or is that broken?
Is that the family members of civil matters? Wondering that same thing. It's good.
Yeah. So
Family trouble.
when we look at assault and battery, Daniel, are you looking at the verified offense, or are you looking at what's called in?
So this is what's called in, so that's kind of a good point. So a lot of these, so family matters, a lot of them will be called in as family matters, but then they will turn into domestic violence disputes. So that's where a large